Let's speak with Katrina Ffrench, founder and director of Unjust UK, who's with us. Katrina, nice to have you with us. Thank you. Just looking at these numbers, 700,000 stops, but 79,000 arrests and 16,000 offensive weapons taken off the street. By any definition, that's a success story, right?
I'd like to say, well, first of all, thank you, Ian, for having me on the programme. I don't think we should be looking at this as a success story at all. I think we need to look at how the police responded in a national, global pandemic to policing at a time where there was a highly contagious disease going around, that they saw fit to increase searches by 24%. Obviously, everyone wants Britain's streets to be safe and free of weapons and drugs and so forth. However, I would argue that the police approach actually probably diminished a lot of communities' confidence and put a lot of people at harm. What I'd like to see is an evidence-based approach to how we adopt stop and search. And these numbers, unfortunately, with the 77% no further action outcome, which I think is incredibly telling, says that the police use of resources need to be re-examined, in my opinion. So I don't think it's a success story.
But 16,000 weapons is success. That is a success. That part of it, 16,000.
As I said, weapons. If you gave me a chance to finish my sentence, I was going to say I think it's incredibly wonderful that weapons were taken off the street. However, when we look specifically at the use of Section 60, which we saw a 49% reduction in, we found out of all of those 9,000 and odd searches, 73 weapons. Now, my fear is all those people that were stopped that didn't have weapons on them were left rarely harmed by the approach that the police took in that stop and search encounter. Of course, we're happy we found 73 weapons. Yes, those people should be, seen with by the justice system. However, the people that were pulled into that encounter, because of usually police bias, let's be clear, there is a police bias to who they feel is committed in all of the serious youth violence, then certain people then pulled into the criminal justice system to have a bad experience when they didn't have anything at all on them.
You call it a bias on this point, Katrina, but of course the police would say actually with quite a lot of criminality, whether we're looking at county lines, whether we're looking at knife crime, those kind of areas, what we've got to go on is a disproportionate amount of young black boys mostly who are the victims as well as the perpetrators.
I hear exactly what you're saying, Ian, but I'll come back. There are less than 1% of young black boys involved in that. That doesn't warrant the disproportionate over-policing of all the rest of the black males. The police need to use their resources to be more intelligent. We can't use a big net to try and catch the fish that we want and not think about who gets caught up in that.
But it's not less than 1% on knife crime, surely.
If you look at the statistics, when we look at the black population, it is less than 1%.
Oh, I see. Sorry. Okay, but of total knife crimes.
That. So why must the whole 99% of black males suffer for that 1%? We don't see black men who are taking cocaine or other drugs pulled into the criminal justice system at the same rate. So I think it's about proportionality. I think it is about having an honest conversation around the problems, but also understanding that asking the police to police all black people because less than 1% of the black population is involved in serious youth violence is incredibly harmful and actually in many ways unlawful.
But if you are looking at certain focused areas, if you're going to Tottenham in North London or Newham in East London, then those areas are disproportionately populated. There's not 1% of black people live there. Collectively, it's the greatest group of non-white people. It's statistically. So you've got a disproportionality in the population. So that would explain some of that, surely.
No, it doesn't. And also you speak about going to those areas. I want to push back on that point about being present in those areas. We saw a massive reduction in serious violence and knife crime last year, yet we saw more stop and search. There's something going wrong here. That's the issue, is that even when there's less violence, less knife crime, black people are over-policed. So yes, there's issues in society, but how the police are using their resources further undermine trust and confidence.
But on knife crime, you're wrong on this, Katrina. Knife crime is still through the roof. Knife crime is through the roof. Most of the victims are black, and most of the perpetrators are black.
Knife crime is at its lowest in compared to previous years last year because we were in a major lockdown. Yes, there were incidences of violence, and I have to say that there were incidents of violence that involved young white boys. Knife crime impacts all communities, not just black people. I want
disproportionately by a country mile, young black kids. You'd acknowledge that young black boys are dying at the hands of the knife.
Young black kids are dying at the hands of the police. I also want to look at the
Where are young black kids dying at the hands of the police? Where is this happening? You've just invented that, Katrina.
I'll rephrase that. We've had young black men. I will phrase that. We've had young black men who have died at the hands of the police.
Okay, we have had young black men who might have died in police custody.
Young black men who have been tasered because of a stop and search last year in Haringey. He was tasered and he's been left paralyzed. Yes. So please don't undermine or dismiss the harms that I've carried out in policing in the names of keeping everyone safe.
But the police taser lots of people, and mostly white people, and the same incidents.
There's a disproportionality in who they taser.
So you're all right with disproportionality. You acknowledge disproportionality as a concept.
Ian, the reason we have disproportionality is because there's more white people in this country, and yet with the small numbers of black people, we still receive a disproportionate police presence. We can't get away with that, and no amount of you trying to say it's because we're more criminal or prone to sort of crimes is gonna wash.
I don't think black people are more criminal because of their DNA or something crazy like that. I'm happy to explore lots of reasons why young black kids are taking to street crime and gang crime.
I would like to understand
in bigger numbers.
You're focusing on knife crime when most of the stops and searches are for low-level drugs. So
no, I understand that. I understand that as well.
So let's have a discussion about that, as opposed to trying to frame this as all young black boys are out committing crimes, instead of having a conversation.
But most young black boys are not out committing crime. I mean, let's enjoy that.
But they're all being stopped and searched in ways
not all of them are, because you have to have. Look, we don't have racist police, so we've got police on the street.
Are you being serious that we don't have racist police? Did you not see the racist, misogynistic messages that were shared by the colleagues of Cousins?
Well, please
don't say such. Don't say that, please don't, because that's just gaslighting me. And you know exactly what you're doing. I'm not gaslighting you. Don't have. You are saying that. We've got evidence that there's racist police. So don't say things like that.
Nobody said there aren't some police that might be racist or might have said racist things. But
so who do you think carried out some of these stops and searches? Do you not think there's racist police officers? Who do you think?
No, it's an absolute nonsense. It's made up by race grifters like yourself who are making a buck out of things like this.
Now you're being incredibly offensive.
I'm not being offensive. You're making stuff up. You're suggesting.
Now you're personally attacking me.
No, I'm not trying to attack you, but you're trying to suggest that the police are doing this because they're racist. What?
This is what you tell a young black woman. She's a race grifter. I'd like to end this interview because I find you incredibly patronising and rude. Thank you for your time this afternoon.
Well,
goodbye.
Frankly, you've been next to hopeless as a guest, if that helps. 0344 499 1000. She's gone. Let's stand and return to the major point in all of this, and that is stop and search. Stop and search.